Simon Crowther, a civil engineer and chartered water and also environmental manager whose home was flooded in 2007, joining us now. Talk to us about flood protection. What works and what doesn't?
So there's various different things. I think there's a lot of misconception about what does work, what doesn't work, because the barriers we've seen, the temporary barriers, it's in the news saying they failed. They haven't necessarily failed. What's happened is the flood has been more serious than the design criteria of that barrier. So it's been overtopped. So there's a lot of different things that make up the jigsaw of flood protection, from things like natural flood management. So farmers contour ploughing to hold water back rather than it rush down into our villages and towns, along with more well-designed civil engineering schemes, and down to people doing things at property level as well to reduce their risk. There isn't a one solution to flooding. We've seen through the recent floods across the UK, there's been so many different types. We've had groundwater flooding, surface water flooding, the huge river flooding, and we need to look at the jigsaw of flood protection and minimising the residual risk.
Homeowners need to become more savvy, though, as well, don't they? They need to make their homes more resistant and resilient.
They do. So there's lots of things homeowners can do. As we've seen, even with well-designed government schemes, they can be overtopped. So what we're looking now is anyone who's being flooded, they talk to their insurance companies about actually building back better, recoverable repair. We don't want people in flood risk areas that are likely to be flooded again, with history having a nasty habit of repeating itself, putting an oak floor back down that might get flooded again, whereas actually they could replace it with something that next time they could mop it up, disinfect and get back to normal a lot quicker, along with having their own defences. But I think most of this stems from the fact that 67% of the UK population don't actually know what their flood risk is. So it's vital, we have a campaign to help raise awareness of flood risk. And it's a horrible time being flooded. The people feel left on their own. And then to be told you need to be resilient is actually really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, you've had personal experience of a family of this, haven't you? Your home was flooded.
Yeah, my home was flooded back in 2007. It was actually flooded 5 times in the summer floods. It's a horrible experience. Filthy brown water devastated the ground floor of our house. And you don't appreciate the damage. It's all well and good when the TV crews are there. We had ITV News and BBC News then come and film. And there's a bit of a blitz spirit. Everyone's there together, mopping up. The really tough time is when the TV cameras have gone, the media attention leaves, the government attention leaves, and actually you're left with this horrendous mess to clear up. We were out of the house for 9 months. And whilst the insurance pay for things, that's a huge disruption, a huge stress. And then also, you don't want to be lying in bed at night when you've moved back in thinking, it's raining, what if this happens again?
When you were in the middle of it all, I don't know if you've seen the front page of the paper today. We've been talking about the Prime Minister not to be seen anywhere. Lots of people saying, where is he? We want him to come and offer us some comfort and support. Would it have made any difference to you and your family if a politician had come along?
I think it would have done, because, like I said, you can feel very isolated, and flooding isn't just an impact on the person who is flooded. We've got a national emergency with climate change. It needs to be stemming from different policy changes, different education, different awareness, so that we all change. If you're not part of the solution within flooding, really you're part of the problem. We're all exacerbating risk through tarmacking our drives rather than leaving them as permeable gardens. We're all doing things. So actually to have a politician on board, helping to raise awareness and actually drive the change that needs to happen, it's not just down to the person who's being flooded to build higher and higher barriers. It's something we need to do as well globally, but as a country as well.
Tell me about some of your inventions to try to stop properties flooding.
So there's various different things you can do to stop a property, help reduce the risk of a property from flooding. Through putting barriers on the doors, having self-closing air bricks to stop water going in, through roll-out temporary defences that can divert water, such as the water gate, and actually managing that residual risk through having water pumps that can pump away groundwater, seepage, surface water. So if any water still does get into the property, you can manage it, keep it as low as possible, so that the risk, the damage is so much less.
Yeah, Simon, just looking at some of the let's call them inventions that you have come up with, have they made a difference?
A vast difference. So I had various clients on Saturday night with Storm Dennis that actually stayed dry, completely dry, didn't get any water in the properties. As much as we can try and keep the water out, it is about reducing the risk as well. And we have about 4,000 clients now who have various different measures, water pumps, barriers, to actually reduce their risk. And like I said, if it does come in, they've got pumps to get the water back out. So it's more of a case of mopping up and disinfecting than it is a year out the house, all of the plaster hacked off with large insurance claims.
Yeah, I'm sure that your hearts goes out to all of those people that are caught up in these floodings at the moment, given your own personal experience. Good to talk to you, Simon. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Appreciate it.